If you don't control your mind, someone else will. At a busy train station in the heart of the city, Marcus stood in line, waiting to buy his ticket. Noise surrounded him on all sides. Vendors shouting, loudspeaker announcements echoing, people rushing to catch their trains, forming an endless swirl of commotion. Yet, amid this clamor, a louder voice thundered in Marcus's mind, an internal worry that he might be a hostage to thoughts not entirely his own. Glancing at his reflection in the glass window next to the ticket booth, he found himself thinking, is this really me? In recent weeks, he'd felt his decisions were no longer wholly his. Outside influences seemed to steer his every move. A father pushing him to become a prestigious engineer. A boss insisting on choices that pricked his conscience. And friends who left no room for him to voice his true opinions. He shuffled forward, only for someone with disheveled hair and a heavy bag to bump into him. An accidental jolt that awakened a deeper question. What do I feel like a leaf carried by the wind, without any control of my own? A conversation amid chaos began when Marcus spotted his old friend Julian waving from across the station. Julian, tall and confident, greeted him with understated concern. Marcus, Julian began, you look more distracted than ever. Still feel like you can't make your own decisions. Marcus sighed. I'm close to losing control of my mind, Julian. I'm constantly asking myself, do I really want what I want? Or am I just following what everyone else expects? Julian's voice held both empathy and warning. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. It's that simple. Look around you. How many times have you been forced to act against your own beliefs, both at work and home? A workplace confrontation soon followed. Running late to the accounting department, Marcus barely sat down before his strict boss, Mr. Clark, summoned him. Mr. Clark, and known for caring only about production numbers, eyed Marcus sternly. Marcus, I hear you're still resisting our plan to slash certain department budgets. This company doesn't bow to personal whims, he announced. Marcus drew a hesitant breath. It just feels unethical. We might ruin some employees' lives. Mr. Clark frowned, his displeasure sharp. Figure it out. I hate discussing directives from upper management. If you don't fit into this system, find another place to work. The words rang like a slap. Anxiety bristled inside Marcus. Why? He thought. Am I always kneeling beneath someone else's authority, following decisions that clash with my conscience? An unexpected meeting that opens doors unfolded later that day at a small cafe where Marcus often met Julian. This time, a stranger awaited him in a corner booth and beckoned Marcus over. My name is Ethan, the man said quietly. Julian told me you're worried about losing yourself. You need to find who you are before everything slips away. Caught off guard, Marcus asked, what do you care about my problems? Ethan shrugged mildly. I've watched too many people lose their way without even realizing it. They don't control their own minds. They just absorb whatever thoughts and orders come their way. I sense you're at risk of doing the same. His voice low, Ethan continued, "The world bombards us with voices trying to shape us. The real question is whether you'll find the resolve to say no when you need to. If you don't firmly hold your own thoughts, someone else will hold them for you." The pivotal turning point arrived that evening when Marcus went home. His mind, a whirlwind of doubts, his family, his job, his friends. Were these choices truly his own, or mere echoes of others' desires? Early the next morning, a message arrived from Mr. Clark. "You have until the end of the week to confirm you're on board with the new plan. If you refuse, there may be consequences." Marcus realized time was up. He'd either comply or stand firm. By week's end, he found himself in a cramped office meeting room, with Mr. Clark delivering the company's ultimatum. "Marcus, we need your explicit approval. This is critical." Marcus stood up, voice steady for once. "No." A hush descended. "No," he repeated. "Because I'll lose who I am if I don't stand for what I believe is right. I refuse to be just a tool for decisions I feel are unjust." Some in the room stared at him as though he were a fool, others in quiet awe. Marcus, however, felt liberated as he packed his belongings and walked away, leaving behind a collective gasp. Moments later, his phone rang, his sister Elizabeth, calling to say their mother had passed away unexpectedly. The news crashed over him like a bolt of lightning. Memories flooded back, his mother both sheltering him from his father's dominance and urging him to conform to the family's norms. Now she was gone. The final scene and its emotional surprise unfolded as Marcus rushed to the family home, where sorrow and tears had overtaken every corner. Though the loss was crushing, a gentle yet profound realization surfaced inside him. His decision to stay true to his beliefs was the first step toward genuine mental freedom. The moving philosophical conclusion dawned on Marcus as he stood alone at his mother's funeral, recalling Ethan's warning. "If you don't control your mind, someone else will." And feeling tears roll down his cheeks, even through grief, he clung to a newfound understanding. A free mind is the closest path to authentic living, whatever the cost. He understood that the world brims with voices trying to invade our minds in the name of love, power, or tradition. Anyone who fails to guard against this external domination becomes a hollow puppet, swayed by others' hands. Only by defending the freedom of his own thoughts could Marcus truly live. A single no, voiced at the right time, can save a life from perpetual confusion. Despite the pain, he walked away from the funeral with measured steps, reborn in some intangible way. He may have lost his mother and even his job, but gained a far greater treasure: firm control of his own mind and the will to make choices rooted in self-awareness. Tomorrow's uncertainties loomed, yet he would face them freely, no longer molded by anyone else's agenda.